So, hello, this is awesome. We've got, I don't know, we're about half Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere at the moment. So we've got people from everywhere, which is awesome. So, hello. So I don't know what to say because it's only good morning to half of you. It's good evening to the other half. So great to be here. Wonderful. Another month. And it's been a good month. I know for lots of you, I can see lots of great things happening. And so I'm looking forward to having conversations about what you're doing and where you're at. And again, we have a very special guest. Monica is here. Now, some of you were at the call we did on Monday. I know, Kat, you were. And who else was? Justine was as well. So a couple of you have met Monica. And I don't know if you've either watched the replay of the last forum or you've watched the video cast that I put out in October. Monica features, and the reason she features is because she's doing some great stuff, and I think she will be valuable to every single person here. And what she'll share a little bit today, and you can ask her questions. And how many of you have sort of seen Monica, watched the video cast I did with her, so a few of you have. Okay, cool. And some of you met her, as I said, on Monday. So, so thanks, Monica, for being here again. You're giving up your time to be here. It's wonderful to have you.
It's great to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'll introduce her a bit more formally shortly. Sorry, I've just got someone who needs me to send the link for this. So give me, hey, Annie. While I'm doing this, what I'd love is anyone to share some good news. Give us some breakthroughs, some thoughts, some lessons, some ideas, things you've been going through. Anyone want to sort of kick off?
I can.
Okay, Justine, we love hearing you because you always have good news.
Well, I've had a second offer come back from the publisher. So I've been in communication. So for those that don't know, I was offered a hybrid publishing contract for my children's book about 2 weeks ago now, a week and a half ago. And it's going to cost me $7,000 if I go with those, so £3,700. And I've submitted 30, and this was number 28 that in the list. So I've had 2 knockbacks and then this contract. So I've still got 27 submissions out there. So I emailed them and wanted clarity on what they were actually offering and what my rights were in using the illustrations, because I fully illustrated the book and stuff like that. So they've come back and said that because I illustrated it, they'll take some money off the initial £3,700. And so I got the new offer this morning, which is £3,200.
They didn't value your illustrations very much, did they?
No, £500. And then I asked about the illustrations because I have, big dreams of turning it into a colouring in book, as well as, limited edition prints and everything else. I'm not allowed to use any of those images whatsoever, so that's put a canner on that contract. I'm not going forward with that, and like I said, there's still 27 other out there, but it's a big new world out there. So it is looking more, and Andrew, you're not going to like the sound of this, it is looking more like I'm going to self-publish, so then I can use my images, because I very much doubt that any of the other publishers are going to let me use my images for what I want them to. So I still have that cut-off date of the 1st of January. So giving myself to the end of this year for the other 27 submissions to get feedback with that. So that's my big news this week.
Oh, good on you. Good on you for getting a contract. That's awesome news, and good on you for being strong enough to say no, I don't want to go that way. And I think a lot of people tend to, I've got a contract, I better grab that because it might be the only one. Well, that's deprivation. That's scarcity thinking. That's scarcity mindset. So we're all in this room. We're all abundance thinkers, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yes, abundance. We want abundance. That's what we are. So well done. Well done. And look, just for the record, I'm not against self-publishing at all. I think people think I am. I'm so not. I just feel like a lot of people default to self-publishing. Yeah. So I think it's your decision how to self-publish that's important, not whether you self-publish or not. Okay. And I think if you're self-publishing because I can't find a publisher and my work's not good and wrong decision. Yeah. If it's no, I'm going to self-publish. I'm going to do it, and I know, and you know what's required, right? If you know what's required to make a self-published book work, go for it. And Monica, when I get Monica to share some stuff, she'll be a great person to connect with in terms of helping, because one of the biggest and hardest things for self-published authors is getting media exposure, right? And getting it out there, because you've got to do it on your own. So, Justine, you'll have my 100% support, whatever way you choose to go.
We'll talk more in our next session.
We will indeed. So anyone else got great news or thoughts or ideas? Love to hear from you.
Well, I started telling a few of you when I first got on about Cherie has got this process of finding out what your reader is doing and wants. And so this is my little cover I made. And this is a manuscript for my first book in a series. And I got it back, a lot of little notes along the way with Post-it notes and notes in the margin. And this girl is in 6th grade, and it's 5th, 6th grade target audience. And she loved my main character. She said she just loved his voice. Actually, I don't even know if she said voice, but she said, I just love him. And I just find him so engaging and entertaining. And this is an owl story and a boy story. And she liked the owls, but she wants a little more adventure. Like one of the chapters, the baby owl jumps out of the nest. And he was supposed to be getting lessons first, but he just takes a big leap, and it's a pretty interesting chapter. And she wrote in there, all the owl chapters need to start like this.
Like, this is a grade 6, was it? A 6th grader?
Huh?
This was a 6th grader, was it?
Yes. Yeah, she just had all kinds of
kids know stuff, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, she said, I didn't put a table of contents in it. I thought about it, didn't. And she puts that in up at the front. She said, would be cool to include a table of contents. And then I had pictures of owls, like I would just cut out an owl, and this owl was protecting a bunch of little baby birds, baby owlets. And she gives me some really good advice here. I think because the story is fake, maybe the pictures should be drawn on a computer, animated, so it would match the story well. Well, I won't have to spoil that, but I just, this is just a kid that is engaged in my story, and it makes me so excited, just to have that. And thanks to Cherie, who's like my coach over here. I also had, this is your processor, Cherie. I had 15 questions. She answered all of them and had some really interesting comments. So with that, and I've got 5 more kids out there reading it right now, so I should have just way more insights than I could ever imagine, honestly.
That's awesome. Well done. Yeah. Well done, Peggy. Good job. And well done, Cherie.
Good job, Peggy.
That's really wonderful.
Peggy, are you looking for more kids to give you feedback, or have you got enough?
I have enough, I think, for this book. I'll need more kids for the next two or 3 books, depending on how it turns out. And so, yeah, I mailed a couple of things in the U.S. Down in South, and but the other kids, and now I have access. This is really good. To one of the middle schools. One of my friends is her stepson is is a sixth grade teacher at one of the middle schools here. So she said he can get you any number of people you want. So
Wonderful.
that's cool.
Well, good. That's awesome what you're doing, Peggy. It's good. You're getting some answers, yeah? Asking the right
Yeah.
people. I mean, the other question I had for you, are you seriously thinking of maybe getting illustrations instead of photos?
Oh yeah, I mean, I really would like illustrations, and first of all, these photos I got just off the internet. Some of them, yeah, I really want to get.
Paul is an illustrator, so if you need to reach out to Paul,
Okay.
you can have a chat to him.
All right.
And Justine's an artist. So in this very forum, we've got you've got a couple of options there. So and it's good. This is one of the strengths of having a group of people like this, because why not use each other? I mean, obviously Cherie's helping you enormously. Well, as I said, Justine, have you got some of your art there? On the back of on the wall? Yeah.
I'll go and grab my kids' book.
All right, do that.
Gotcha.
And I think Peggy, you've probably seen Paul's stuff. Kat can draw stick figures, she said. So if you want a really good stick figure, Kat's your girl.
No, not if you want a really good one. No.
A stick figure. If you want an average stick figure, Kat's your girl.
Average at best, yeah.
But if you've ever seen Paul do any of his sketches, he's got some amazing stuff. So there you go. You've got resources in this very room, which is amazing. So good stuff. Okay. Anyone else want to share some thoughts, ideas? What I might do is we've got one person here for the first time, and I'm going to put him on the spot because I can. He won't mind. He climbs mountains. He rides bikes across glaciers. So he doesn't mind being put on the spot. Some of you may have listened to a recent podcast that I put out called "It's Never Too Late to Have a Happy Childhood." I don't know how many of you have listened to the story of a crazy man who rode an 80-kilo laden bike across Alaska and ended up falling through the ice into a frozen river, or a freezing cold river, and somehow survived that. Well, this man is here, and I've been talking to him about writing a book for years and years and years. I've been talking to him about speaking for years and years, and I think finally he's here. So yeah, hello, we'd love to hear from you. Just say good day to everyone.
I muted myself again. Good day. How are you?
Good. Mate, tell us why you're here. We'd love to hear a bit about.
Well, you invited me. You suggested it'll be a good forum. I mean, I've started actually writing the book, so after too many people kept hammering me on about it, so I thought, what the hell? I'm now in a ripe old age that I can sit down and start writing it. I mean, I'm still working in that, but I'm working less now, so I thought that'll be a good time to do it. And I normally get up at 5 in the morning, which is really about an hour and a half, which I can make a lot of notes and remember things that I forgot already. So this morning I spent over an hour just putting together one chapter of an event actually in Lapland in North Sweden and Finland that I completely forgot about it, and I remember that that's probably worthwhile because it starts with a very amusing incident, which is a letter from the Swedish Mountaineering Club telling me that I'm crazy and they're not going to help me. I took that as a please come, and I arrived, and as soon as I arrived in Stockholm and met the guy who wrote me the letter that says you're completely a nutcase and we're not supporting suicides, he was extremely welcoming and helpful. So I just said to him, I'm the suicide case from Australia, and he said, oh, hello, how are you? And that started a whole 3 months adventure, basically skiing about 3,500 kilometers between Sweden, Norway, and Finland in the middle of winter, which was wonderful. I fell through the ice there again. So I think I'm kind of starting to make a habit of it. But that's a great story. I just completely forgot about it. So the 5 a.m.s are a very good time for me to write.
Good.
And after midnight. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, yeah, if you have a listen to his podcast, it's an amazing story. It really is. 61 years he's been a bit of an adventure addict, and he's climbed mountains, and he's canoed and paddled and done dog sledding and ridden bikes and skied, and so he's got lots of stories. So welcome, mate. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
I've got those pictures.
Okay, so let's
Oh, I
have.
haven't got the book ones, but I've got.
That's right. So this is some of Justine's art. So Peggy, like, wow, look at that.
Oh,
Now these ones are all finger painted, but it'll give you an idea anyway. So you can check out. I'll put my website in the chat box.
And Cole, have you got a website as well? You don't have a website, do you?
No, it's nothing on it. I've got the domain, but I've put nothing on it. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
All right, cool. All right, beautiful. That's great, Justine. Thank you. Anyone else got anything they would like to hear from you? If you've challenges, questions you've got. Hi, Denise.
If you want to hear a baby bird story, I am the baby bird and being an author. I am an author. I have chapters. I'm doing it, but I'm still coming out of the isolation of a brain injury and the bipolar and the no immunity. I finally put enough money together to buy a printer. I bought this HP Chromebook to write my book, and I got an HP printer that the Home Shopping Network had. I just happened to think, go there and put in printer, and for $19, I got it financed for 4 months, and it delivered, and it's wireless, and I hooked it up to my phone and my Chromebook, and now an official writer who can print out her chapters and do editing on paper. And so I've made it to the next step. Of all of you big fancy professionals with all your experience in writing, you so inspire me to keep going. And now I'm one step closer on my budget to writing my book.
That's awesome, Denise. And I love how excited you are about getting a printer. And look, I think there's a beautiful lesson there, isn't there? You know, it doesn't have to be this massive breakthrough. It can be something as simple as getting a printer that moves us a step closer. And I think it's all about the steps, these small steps. So well done, Denise. That's awesome news. Yeah, good job. We look forward to hearing more from you and the evolution of your wonderful book. Anyone else got anything? Or will we throw it? We might have a chat to Monica. I think Steve, you just muted yourself. You muted yourself, Steve. Steve, you've muted yourself.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm on it now. Well, I spent last weekend up in a place called Geraldton, which is north about 350 kilometres north of Perth, and it was at a festival, Readers and Writers Festival called Big Sky at Geraldton. A heap of fun. Just it's only a small town. It's only about 35,000 people, but the festival was just great. There was a whole range. I don't know whether you heard of Fiona Palmer. She was there. A whole bunch of people were there. Authors, and I was up there as a guest author. And what they did for us was the guest authors was that they ferried us out to a chain of islands called the Abrolhos Islands while we were there. And the Abrolhos Islands are a chain of reefs off the coast, and they're just amazing stuff. And there are so many shipwrecks out there, all from the 1600s, with the boat. The Batavia is the most famous one, where a Dutch ship ran aground, and then they had a psychopath on board, and he started killing everybody. But they're good stuff, great stuff.
You can write a book about that.
Well, yeah, put that in there. A historical drama. I think the books have already been written about it, but no, it was a great opportunity to just strut my book and the Veiled Thread, and
you sold some copies?
I sold a whole bunch of copies to people.
That's awesome.
It was it was a good weekend, and yeah. Next time there's a big sky, maybe Australia will be open, and maybe everybody here will make a journey to Geraldton.
All right, we'll put that in our calendars over to Geraldton. That's
anyway,
awesome, mate. Good on you, mate, for putting yourself out there. And I think that's a nice little lead in. I mean, look, let's face it, we're all here not because we haven't got something better to do with our time. We're here to learn how to be a successful author, right? And you will all know, you've heard me say it a million times, it's not about the book. You know, you're not just here to be an author, right? Is anyone here because they just want to say, I've written a book? You may be, but I don't think so. I think we're all here because we want our book to impact lives, correct? We're all here because we want our book to inspire, entertain, educate, empower. We want our book to help solve problems for people. We want our book to traverse the globe, yes, to sell tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of copies, to open doors, to put us on stages, to help us. Yeah, am I on the right page here? I just want to make sure I'm with the right crowd, because the sad reality is, for the vast majority of authors, they will get to a point where they're frustrated. It's not getting them the results they want to get, and it's not for want of trying. It's not for lack of desire. It's just possibly a lack of maybe resources, a lack of knowledge, a lack of support, a lack of a range of things. You know, it's to be a successful author, you've got to be an advocate. You've got to get out there. You've got to, you know, and I know a lot of people, the reason why they want to write a book is because they want to stay anonymous. Well, it ain't going to work in the 21st century. You cannot be a successful anonymous author, right? Unless you've got a lot of money, right? And you can just pay someone to do it for you. To be successful, you need to people need to know you're an author. You can't just whack your book up on Amazon and think you're going to sell millions of copies. You can't just put your book in a bookshop and think people are going to just flood in and buy your book. That's not how it works. The only reason people will buy your book is because they know about it. First step, they've got to know about it. If they don't know about it, how can they buy it? The second thing, it's got to solve a problem for them. It's got to fill a need for them. Yeah. If it doesn't fill a need, if it doesn't solve a problem, if I'm not interested in reading the book, if I can't see how it would value me either entertainment wise or inspiration wise, or in some way in my life, I'm not going to spend money on that book. So here's the question. The question is, how do you get people to know about your book, and how do you get people wanting to buy your book because it's going to fill a need? And I'm grateful that I came across Monica. And Monica was, as I said, you know, a couple of you have already heard from Monica at the last forum. And if you've watched the video cast, you've heard from Monica. She's got lots of experience in media. She's worked with some very successful national media platforms in Australia. She's got an amazing strategy to help people get free media exposure. So welcome, Monica. That was a big introduction.
Thank you.
I built you up. I built you right up. So
wow, this is the best Saturday morning I've had in a long time. You can, you know, I'll zoom into your forum any Saturday for that.
You can. So thank you for being here. And Monica, if you can just maybe do a quick intro to everyone that doesn't know you, a little bit about your background, and then we'll have a bit more of a conversation.
Sure thing. Hey, everyone. Awesome to be here. So just to give you a bit of background, I have spent over 25 years working in media. I started
when she was 10.
Yes, exactly. And I don't even use Botox, so thanks. But essentially, I started my media career in Europe. I'm an Aussie, but I ended up in Europe. And after working as a receptionist for a while, ended up working on this lifestyle and documentary program. A couple of years later, visa ran out, headed back to Australia. No biggie. It was fantastic to land in back in Australia and ended up getting a job at a current affair, which is, Australia's top rating current affair program. Now, for those of you who don't live in Australia, it's one of those it's not the highest quality TV program. It's quite tabloidy, but it's where I learned everything about how not to do PR, because I had authors, business owners, marketing managers, and very colorful people calling me all day long wanting their story on air, because why wouldn't they? It's like a 6 to 8 minute free exposure on a top rating current affair program. But what I found was that more often than not, well, actually probably about 97% of the time, they missed out on that opportunity because they didn't understand what I needed and how to pitch the story in order for me to say, yes, that's something our audience will tune into. And as a producer and as a journalist, that's all they are concerned with, producing content that gets their audience to tune in and stay switched on. So they want to produce content that does the 3 E's. And I think Andrew even mentioned it earlier: educate, entertain, and engage their audience. Because the more engaged their audience is, the more they can entice, the media outlet can entice advertisers to come on and pay more advertising. Because the media is made up of 2 sides, the advertising department and the media side. And these 2 sides cannot exist without each other. So no media outlet, whether it's your favorite TV program, online news site, radio show, exists without the advertising dollars. But the business people know that nobody's going to tune into any of their favorite media channels if it's only paid ads. So that's where the journos come in. And that's where the opportunity exists for authors such as yourselves, who have this content to share and to add value to the audiences of these media outlets. And it's a really good idea to do that because, as Andrew was saying, and I compare it to, a pregnancy. And some of you may have experienced a pregnancy, some of you may have partners who have, or all of you have known people who are pregnant. And during a pregnancy, people are very focused on growing that baby. And I compare it to a first-time author particularly. It's about the writing of the book, nurturing the baby, growing, writing that book. That's where all their efforts and focus goes. But what they forget is, they have the baby shower, they get the nesting done, you write the book, it's all your energy goes there. But what you actually forget while you're growing that baby or you're writing that book is that it's only once that baby or that book is physically there and you're cradling it in your arms, that's when the hard work starts. And that's when the opportunities begin to make this beautiful baby and this beautiful book blossom and grow and evolve and fill your life with joy as you fill other people's lives with joy. So that's what I compare it to. So
good analogy.
Thank you. I've got 3 kids, so I know what I'm talking about. So essentially, what I like to share with people is how to then connect with journos in such a way that you are speaking to them in their language, because and get their attention and get that media exposure for your book. Because the sad fact is that about 98% of people who are pitching to journos are missing out on the opportunity because they're not speaking to journos in their language. In other words, they're not giving them content or showing them how their content will do the 3 E's: engage, educate, and entertain their audience. So I've sort of come up with a framework, and a couple of you have heard it already, but I don't think you can ever hear this enough because it's really important. I've come up with a framework to speak to journalists in their language so that they take notice of you and take your pitch and convert it into a story that goes out in their mass media outlet to get lots and lots of exposure and eyeballs, and money can't buy credibility for your book and you yourself as an author. So you might want to get your notepads out now if you want to take some notes to remember this stuff. But my framework is you have 7 reasons to pitch an angle to the media. So 7 reasons, and reasons is an acronym. So the following 7 things I'm going to take you through are angles that will help you speak to journalists in their language and make them think, yep, this makes a fantastic story. Let's do something. So R in reasons stands for real life stories or case studies. So the media like to tell stories through people who have experienced them and have been transformed by the experience. So within your books, I'm sure a lot of you, particularly, the nonfiction books, are putting stories of people and examples of how they've used your process or whatever, and what it's done for them. So these people would be perfect examples of real life stories or case studies. Or in the case of Yair, and hopefully I'm saying that correctly, Yair, you are the case study. It's your story. You are that real life story that will make amazing media story. As soon as you're ready, I need to help you because you will be all over the media. It's a very great example of a real life story. So that's the R. E is closely connected, but not quite. It's your entrepreneurial business story, but it's not. It's basically about you as an author and what inspired you to write your book. What challenges have you overcome in your life or in your business or in your journey to do what you're doing right now. So it's not just about I'm amazing, I'm so successful, everything's hunky-dory. It's sharing some vulnerability with the media. Because as humans, we tend to tune into, we want to see other people's vulnerabilities because 1, we feel like it makes us feel better, but 2, we learn from it. So the idea is to share your vulnerability and then talk about how you've overcome it and to be doing the things that you're doing now or living the life you're living now. So Denise, you mentioned a brain injury. That's a perfect example of that. So then we've got A in reasons, which is awareness days. So there's an awareness day for just about every topic, every day, week, and month of the year. And some of them are very well known and you'll all have heard of it. Most likely, most of you have heard of International Women's Day. We've got Breast Cancer Awareness Month, Movember, Men's Health Week. Some of you would have heard of those. But there's a whole lot of obscure days that a lot of you probably haven't heard of. And no, you definitely wouldn't have heard of because there's a lot of these days out there. So for the Australians on the call, there's a website you can go to called ourcommunity.com.au and then /calendar. And you will find all of the Australian awareness days. For the Americans and other nationalities in the call, I'm sure you have your equivalent and you just have to Google awareness days, and then you can even zone in like health awareness days or, freedom awareness days, whatever it is, but you will definitely have a calendar. There's so many out there, but the ourcommunity.com.au is the best one I found for Australia. And awareness days are great because it gives the journalists a reason to run your story on that particular day, week, or month of the year. So instead of them saying, oh, this looks good, I'll save it for a rainy day or when I've got a spot, they say, oh, this looks good. And I know my audience is grappling with this topic. Let's run the story this week. So that's why awareness days work so well. Recently, it was Men's Health Awareness Week, and we have a client who have a men's telehealth business. And I think they had about 8 different stories in 8 mass media outlets during that week, simply because it was linked to Men's Health Week. So then the first S in reasons stands for statistics and data. Journos love a good old statistic. Why? Well, because it makes them look like they've done some research and it makes the audience feel that they have learned something and they instantly feel smarter in a very short period of time. You know, again, as humans, we like to group things. So when we read a statistic, instantly it's like we are making sense of the world in some way, shape or form. And how do you get that statistic? Well, a lot of you will have done some research while writing your book. But if you haven't and you don't want to do your own research, you can actually find out who else has done this research and come up with the data or the statistic. Of course, you credit that organization, but as you are the one commenting on the implication of this statistic for individuals and your industry or whatever it is, you're the one getting that kudos and positioning yourself as an expert in the industry. So that's S. O stands for opinion and thought leadership. And for authors, this one is the kahuna of angles, because you have written a book because you are the expert. There's no other reason for it because you're an expert and you want to share your knowledge, your stories, and your value with other people to help other people. So opinion from a media point of view could be I call it controversial opinion, but it doesn't have to be controversial. It's just, what's your opinion about the state of play of your industry? What does the future of your industry look like? Where have you come, you know, a decade ago, now, and future? Has there been some legislation that's been passed that will affect your industry, and how will it do that? Is something going on within your industry that you think isn't right? Like, how can the government support your industry better, etc.? Like, so let's say your expertise was innovation. Your opinion could be why Australia is lagging behind America. I'm not saying it is, but you know, why Australia is lagging behind America when it comes to innovation. That could be an opinion piece. So that's the first kind of opinion piece. And the second kind is literally just sharing your expert opinion. So yeah, you might say, if you want to redefine your childhood, this is what you need to do that, or this is what I recommend you do. So it's just sharing your expert opinion. So that's O. N within the word reasons is news of the day or news hacking. So it's sort of tuning into what the media is currently talking about. And if you feel you can add something or have another opinion or add a story to that news of the day story or news of the week, month, or whatever, it's a great opportunity to jump in, because when there's a story that's trending in the media, the journalists want to keep it going. And the reason they want to keep it going is they want more engagement. One of those is they want more engagement. Now, the only way they can keep a story going is by getting different points of view, different stories and anecdotes relating to that. And the best example, and it's a very extreme example because it's never happened before in this way, but COVID. So with COVID hitting in March last year, all the media want to talk about for the first 4 months was COVID. And it was easier than ever to get my clients mass media exposure because all I had to do was link it to COVID. So this is how my clients pivoted. This is the kindness project my clients doing. My clients now offering Zoom things. Check it out. You know, I got all of them amazing media exposure. because I linked it to what everyone was grappling with, which was COVID. Now that's a very extreme example, but once COVID is gone, and it will go at one point in time, and before COVID came, there's loads of news of the day stories, much smaller than that you can leap into. So that's that. And then the last S is snappy 5 tips, myths, and pitfalls. So this is like top 5 things you need to ask yourself before you do this, or top 5 tips to do that, or top 5 myths around this topic. Or, one example I like to give, because it's an article I'll always sort of look at, is, these are the top 5 things successful authors or entrepreneurs do before 7 a.m. every day. That is the sort of thing that I would read, and it would be written in the sort of media outlets that are, attracted to by entrepreneurs and authors. So the reason the top 5 things work so well is because journos love it, because it gives, again, bite-sized digestible information that people can feel like they're getting a lot of value while they consume the media quickly. Like, if they're quickly jumping into their online news site while they're in transit somewhere, or waiting for their kid to finish their dance lesson, or whatever it is. And so with you as authors, basically this provides a framework for a PR campaign. It could be a 12-month PR campaign, or longer or shorter, whatever you want. But it's essentially looking at your content and then layering it over these 7 newsworthy hooks so that you can get yourself out there in the media, because the media is probably the most credibility building platform out there is, because people don't realize that it's you yourself who has pitched your story to a journo, and that journalist has recognized that story will add value to their audience. So they've asked you to come on the show, or they've asked you for an interview and done an article about you and your book, your expertise and your stories. People don't realize that. People think that Mr. or Mrs. or Ms. Journo thought, I'm going to do a story about resilience this week. Now, Justine, I know Justine is the true expert in resilience. She's the one, I've come across her. I don't know. She's the true expert. I'm just going to call Justine and get her into this feature article. So that's what most people think happens. They don't read, and they don't even consciously think that through. They just think, oh, wow, Justine's got a feature article in news.com.au. She must be the true expert because they've chosen her. And that's how the credibility essentially works when it comes to media exposure. It's all about social proof. And then once you get that exposure, putting it all over your website, and changing that front cover of your book as seen on Sunrise, and all the things that you can do to make that media exposure the most powerful marketing collateral you've got in your toolkit.
That is amazing. Wow, you just delivered some incredible content. That is, how valuable was that? So just obviously conscious of time, does anyone have any questions for Monica at the moment?
I guess I have a comment. I watched our daughter had her book, and we're in it also, published about a year ago. And I listened to the webcast, and I want to say last evening we were at an event totally unrelated to anything regarding her, more about what's happening in America now. So things are crazy. But I used a couple of the points that you shared with us as far as to engage people who didn't know us, did not know Heather, and it worked so beautifully. And I just saw how things we have done this year, why maybe things haven't blossomed more than we thought they would. So I thank you and Andrew, and you guys have, Andrew, I've known him longer, but he's been wonderful. So thank you.
Oh,
That's
amazing.
awesome, Randy. Lynn, good. That's so good.
Yeah, the
Sorry, Monica.
Sorry, that is so wonderful to hear. Thank you so much for that feedback. That's well, that's why I leap out of bed every morning to get, to get that sort of feedback. So thank you.
And that's, I mean, Monica's just very generously given you all that information, which you could go off and do something with now. Yeah. And that's, I mean, I love that about her. She's just generous. She's not hiding anything, holding anything back, saying, well, you've got to pay me lots of money, for me to give you any information. She's given you that. However, she is available if you really need some support. And I know that Monica, there's a question, do you have a website, Monica? So Can you just, if you can type in, and I know Monica is will happily go through a 30-minute a discovery session with you and have a chat specifically. And I would encourage you to take her up on that offer and just find out more. Because I think, I know that Randy and Lynn and Heather, and I've said this to you, Monica, Heather's story is incredible.
Yeah.
Most of you know Heather Headstrong and have met Heather, and her story is incredible, what she went through, how she overcame it, the mindset she had, the support of this beautiful couple that you can see here. It needs to be in people's hands. That book needs to be read by millions of people, because I know it will change lives. So, and I know, they need some support and help to go, well, what do we do? How do we get this book out there? And so I think, Monica, you could be really valuable there. But I mean, the same with everyone in the room. I mean, as I look around the room, everyone's, Denise, your book's going to impact lives, but it's got to be out in the world. And Kat, you've got this unique strategy with what you're doing with the science experiments, which is going to be awesome. Yeah, I mean, we all know, we've all heard a bit about your journey, mate. And, wow, who doesn't want to read about how you, I don't know. I just, when I was talking to you, we were doing the podcast, and I said, mate, there's a spectrum of crazy. You're at the far end of it. And I said that with all love and respect. But I think we've all got, Oliver's just about to publish his first book. It's only a few weeks away. And so he's going to want to get that out there into the world. And he's had a transformation in his life. And I know Felicia, she's had some ups and downs in business and has got so much to share for business people. And Karen, I just look at every single person here. And I think the tragedy is if you go to all the effort to write and publish a book and it doesn't do what you want it to do. And I know you all want it to do big things. That's why you're here. I know I've spoken to most of you. We've talked about your vision, what you want for your life, and what you want, it is impact lives and travel and be free financially and have this amazing impact. Well, it's got to get out there. And I think that stuff that Monica's just shared with everyone is, I know I'm talking to Monica and she's going to help me, because Tears of Joy is about to hit my hands, which I can't wait. And Monica's going to help me with that. And I can't wait for that. I'm excited about the journey and what we can do with that book. And I'm excited for everyone. I really am, because I think, and I say this every single week, or every month, every time I speak to you, I think you're all amazing and you've got such a story and such a heart to help. And so you've got to do whatever you can to get it out there. Anyway, anyone got any other questions for Monica or any other comments?
Yeah,
I just wanted to. Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll go.
You
Annie,
go.
We'll go Annie first, and then
Okay, sorry, thank you. Monica, you pretty much described me. My book was published February 28, 2020, and my book launch was organised for the March the 22nd, 2020. So 20 months later, I'm still, actually initially I treated my promotion as a full-time job, and I just was on all the social medias, and I did really, really, really well. Heaps of contacts from overseas and everywhere. It was just brilliant. But now we've got our 6th lockdown, and that's really flattened me. I just
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone's the same, like it's COVID fatigue. I've been
Yeah.
terrific right through, and now I've just got 1,900, new numbers have come out today, and it's just terrifying. And yeah, it's just flattened me, but I will bounce back once,
Yeah.
the are going. But yeah, you pretty much described me. I'm a 3 times cancer survivor.
Okay.
41 years ago. So
Wow.
I had a lot of different other things during that time.
Right.
Well, and yeah, and I'm finding it. My book, whoever's reading it is finding it incredibly inspirational. Yeah.
Amazing. Well,
No, go, Monica.
like what I would say to that is I totally get that you're feeling flat now. Melbourne's doing it really tough, but everything changes. So you might be feeling crap right now, but you will shift and you will get back to that place of excitement to get that book out there. So feel free to sit with the feeling of not so good, but know it's going to change. Like you've written the book, you can see it's helping so many people. So just know that you will come out of it and everything will be fine again.
Yeah, and also, Annie, I mean, right now, I mean, yes, this is 18 months after the start of COVID, but it's still very newsworthy. And in fact, in Melbourne, more than ever,
Yes.
people are looking for good news.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I think your story, more than ever, is relevant for people right now. In fact, I think everyone's story who's got a story of hope and overcoming now is where people need it. So this is why I'm saying reach out and spend some time talking to Monica and how you can, because Annie, you can turn this flat time and you can turn this into, within a heartbeat, you can turn this into maybe the most exciting time of your writing career, because you don't need to leave your house to get media exposure. You don't need to, you can do it from the seat you're in right now. This is a great thing about this time in history, guys. You can do anything you want from where you're sitting right now. You don't need to go out. You don't need to do anything. You can do it from here. You can reach people, touch people, impact people, inspire people from the seat you're sitting in right now. So I know how you feel, Annie. I'm a little bit like a caged tiger as well. Walking up and down my corridor but one of the things, I guess I'll finish with, I might just say, has anyone else got any comments or questions for Monica?
I just wanted to thank Monica. It was very valuable advice.
Pleasure.
Yes, I'd like to double that too. Andrew had made a suggestion that at the end of my chapters, do a little summary, and it's brilliant because now what I can do is at the end of each chapter have like a top 5 this or a top 5 don't do that. Yes. I'm going to do that in my book. So thank you, Monica. You helped me so much.
Oh, yay.
Good on you, Denise. That's great. And thanks, for your comment too.
Just want to let everyone know, I've got a free webinar coming up. I've put the link in the chat if you want to register. If you're not there physically and you register, I can send you a recording. I mean, it's going over similar things, but I also talk about how to create a very strong personal brand that's memorable. And then I do this training with authors, helping you, empower you to know how to get this publicity for yourself. So yeah, as Andrew said, if anyone wants to have a discovery chat with me, just send me an email. I've got my email there in the chat, and I would love to connect with you guys.
Cole, you had something to say as well?
Just curious, and maybe I'll go to the webinar, but in terms of reaching out to these media agencies and I don't know a journalist. So how do you reach out to those people to get your story in their hands?
Yeah, I sort of teach you how to do that as part of the training, but essentially it's identifying which media outlets you want to be in and then researching who the journos are. And that's not hard. It's a matter of just one, if it's an online news site or a print thing, their names are right there. The other thing, LinkedIn is the best Rolodex we've ever been gifted with. And then there are certain techniques you use in order how to reach out so that it hits the nail right on the head.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great presentation. Very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Anyone else want to ask a question or? No? Okay. Well, I've got someone. I'm not sure who that is, but I'm sorry, they've got the time wrong. And this is the problem for the next month or two. Hello.
Hello.
How are you? You're
I'm
an hour late, Angela. We're just finishing. We started at 9 o'clock your time. And this is and I know we've had a few people with time. That's right. This is recorded, Angela, and I'll send it to you so you can watch it. But the next one is the time for the Americans will change again. Because I know that you guys go out of daylight. So we've just gone into daylight savings, and now you're going to go out of daylight savings. So I just as I send out the email and all that, just make sure you're clear on the time, okay? Because it's changing all the time. So the next one will be looking at my calendar. So I've got one is going to be on the 1st of November. That's a Monday evening, Australia time. And then the next one will be the following Saturday, which will be the 6th of November, Australian time, and Friday, the 5th of November, US time. I'll send out emails and stuff, and I'll send out the calendar invite. So just please, so we don't, Angela, it's great to see your beautiful smiling face. Sorry you missed it. You missed an awesome
I've been so
session.
patiently waiting this morning and watching the time to make sure I wasn't late. And
It's okay. It's okay. So we're gonna wrap it up. And again, I just want to thank you all for being here, and thank you for all attending and participating. I get probably more out of this forum every month than you guys do, and grateful. I can't tell you how grateful I am for every single one of you. And Monica, thank you for being here again. I know you've invested quite a lot of time to do the video cast, to be on the Monday forum, to be on this forum, to share so generously. So, and I know what you've said is going to impact these authors' lives and impact many other people's lives who are blessed to read their books. So there's Monica. She's happy and wants to help in any way she can. So I really want to encourage you to reach out to her and at least have a conversation with her specifically about you and what you're trying to achieve, and see how she can help you do that.
Thank you.
Well, have a beautiful evening, Americans. Have a wonderful Saturday, Australians, and just have a great weekend. And I will obviously we'll talk to a lot of you over the next few weeks and stuff, and see you all in a month's time on this forum. So have a wonderful weekend, and thanks everyone for being here.
Thanks, Monica. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye.
Monica. Adios.